Hey everyone, welcome to the next chapter. This is the first episode of our book club
You
series.
get some laughing.
So, to be honest, we really don't know what we're doing, but this is our first attempt at making a book club, and it's all about that consistent process that we're going to go through to get this thing done. But here we are. Let's get started. So, with the first book that we're going to go through is Atomic Habits, and we've read up to the fundamentals of the first chapter. And yeah, I'll pass it over to the host today, which is Adnan.
Yep. So the section we read today was the fundamentals, and it focused on why tiny changes make a big difference. The first chapter in this section was the surprising power of atomic habits, and I guess one of the key points in that section was how compounding and how small benefits lead to great return, and vice versa. If you have small disadvantages, but yeah, they also talk about stuff like progress is not a linear relationship, but more like exponential, and that a lot of people give up before they get to the progress they like to see. And then it focuses on, and the next chapter was how your habits shape your identity and vice versa. And I guess the key in this was how identity is important on your habits and how you create them. And how he explains is like there's three levels of behavior change. Outcomes, processes, and identity. Outcomes are
You're good. Keep going.
yeah, so the outcomes are more related on the goals we set, while the systems are like the habits, while your identity is your beliefs, bias, and assumptions. Yeah, for the second chapter, it was how your habits shape your identity and vice versa. And there he explains three levels of behavior change: outcomes, processes, and identity. Outcomes have to do more about your goals and stuff, while your systems is about your habits, while your identity is like your biases, beliefs, and assumptions. And so to make habits is usually like two models that we do: outcome-based habits and identity-based habits. Matthew, what is outcomes-based habits?
So in the book, he talks about how an outcome-based habit is more of kind of a process that you can do in order to reach a certain goal, where your sole focus for doing it is to reach the goal. Say, for example, like in basketball, your goal is to obviously win. Um, you kind of take the steps and like the habits to achieve that goal instead of, say, for example, like actually improving at basketball.
I see. Bryson was identity-based habits.
So identity-based habits is when you're looking to achieve something, but it's more of you change your identity.
Yeah, keep going.
So
Keep
you
going.
get the mindset of, oh, like I want to be this person, instead of like, for example, one of the examples that he gave was that, say, a smoker. If you ask a smoker, like if you want, who's trying to quit, if you ask him, oh, do you want a cigarette, instead of saying, oh no, I'm actually stopping smoking, I'm like, oh, I'm not a smoker, because that's your past self. So it's more of changing mindset that your identity also changes when you're trying to quit or change in habit.
So he also goes through like two-step processes to changing your identity, which is one is decide the type of person you want to be, and the second is prove it yourself with small wins. And these small wins are like going through your habits and making sure you get the consistency to see the results that you want to see. So real reason habits matter is not because they can get you better results, but because they can change your beliefs and yourself about yourself. And then the third chapter was how to build better habits in 4 simple steps. And the ultimate purpose of habits is to solve the problems of life with little energy and effort as possible. So process of building a habit can be, he says, that can be divided into 4 simple steps, which is cue, craving, response, and reward. The cue is about the triggers in your brain to initiate a behavior. Craving is the motivational force behind every habit. Response is the actual habit you perform, and reward delivers the rewards and the end goal of every habit. So I think in the next chapters we go into each one by one and have a focus on each. So I guess, yeah, that's a summary. And I guess to start the actual book club. So my first question is, what are your initial thoughts on the author and how he presents his points? There's like a small intro in the beginning about the author. What do you think? How do you think he explains his points? Does anyone want to answer?
I think he does a great job in providing actual real life personal examples, so that you can actually tell that his experiences match what he's conveying to everyone. He's not just like making it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like what the author started off is by the author started off by sharing his own life experiences,
Mhm.
and then he kind of like throughout the first two chapters he started introducing like the four laws, right? So I feel like using that life experience and then transitioning throughout the first two chapters into starting the topic about the four different laws is a good way he approached the book.
Right, yeah, because he said himself he wanted to be a writer,
Yeah.
and he started
Mhm.
by like writing like 2 pieces like one or twice a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And then that
Mhm.
kind of compounded into who he is now, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, I guess the main reason I asked that question was more like I remember before when we were deciding what book we want to read, we said nonfiction, but I was kind of hesitant because one is like they're all like facts and you can't really talk about them, but also like the author matters because I remember reading another self help book and like he just like it's just something like it just felt like he was like a blogger like saying his personal point of views
Right.
and saying this is what's right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I actually kind of like I don't like the approach of like saying your personal examples, but I think he does do more like examples from the outside world. Like I
Yeah,
don't think it's I don't see a lot of personal examples except for like the introduction point.
Yeah.
But like when it goes to the fundamentals, it's more like objective and
Right.
like stuff that happened in
Mhm.
real life.
Yeah,
and he uses like theories.
he uses more general, like he doesn't use his personal experience. He uses general
Yeah.
scenarios, like to stop smoking, to lose weight,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
But he also does go through like specific like like the burden, like all
Yeah.
like that thing, just like all that stuff.
I think like for me, one of the biggest things that he said was this one part, which was about the compound interest of everything.
Yeah.
He was like saying, not that it was specifically to like the knowledge compound, right? And it's like learning one new idea won't make you a genius, but a commitment to lifelong learning can be transformative. And I think this is like the perfect paragon for the next chapter, like for us.
Paragon.
Yeah, because
Wow.
if you like think about it, that's exactly what we wanted to achieve, right?
Yeah.
When we were talking about this idea and for the last couple months, if not like the last like 3-4 months, we were saying, okay, if not for like to post it, like our goal is to essentially learn and to be
Yeah.
better for ourselves. Like in 20 years from now, we want to be able to come back here and be like, okay, in our 20s, we learned something.
Yeah.
And I think that this is our first step towards that. And I think that definitely summarizes like where we're headed in terms of our journey, right?
Mhm. And this project itself is kind of like a testament to what we're reading too, right?
Yeah.
To keep ourselves accountable.
That's why we chose it, man. It's like
Yeah.
it's like we needed these habits, and that's why we chose this book, right?
Yeah.
I think the way the author writes is like he gives a real life example for each one. It's like say like the bicycle tour in France or Britain, I don't know
Right.
which one. He gave it like a direct example and it creates like a thing where the reader can actually believe like, oh, I can actually do this too.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's more engaging than like say reading a wiki how to change habits, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna also just I don't know where to start. I was just gonna add I just did appreciate like in the beginning of the book he explained that this is more like a guidebook.
Yeah.
More like just like he names out the rules and the points that he believes helps create like good habits and how to like stay consistent with them. What I like about his like anecdotes and his stories is they're not there to show proof that it works, but they're more there to help us as the reader visualize, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it was way easier understanding his compound interest
Yeah.
analogy when he brought up the British team for the Tour de France.
Right.
How they made these small incremental changes
Yeah.
that obviously each change you don't look at it and it's like, okay, I'm gonna win now, but like all these habits, all these changes that you made in the long run over time, you notice a difference.
Yeah.
Like I used to always like to use this strategy when it comes to like say so I sell cell phones, right? So you're saving money, you're saving $10 a month. People are gonna be like, hey, like it's only $10, who cares? But after 2 years, that's
You see
$240.
over time,
It's the
yeah.
same thing with habits, right? It's the same thing with these like small changes in behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously you're gonna like look back at it like a week from now, you're gonna be like, oh, nothing's really changed.
Yeah.
But 2 years from now,
You
it's gonna be a whole different
Yeah.
picture. So
Mhm.
that's what I enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems credible too. Like
Mhm.
he seems like he's done a lot of talks and stuff.
Yeah. Because I remember like when he was explaining the beginning of his book, how he started writing news articles
Yeah.
once a week, twice a week, and he gained attraction.
Yeah.
And then after, that's why he stepped into this role. So
Yeah.
he definitely like had prior experience with writing.
Yeah.
I like how he does a good job separating personal versus factual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The book, like,
for sure.
the actual content is based on fact, while
Yeah.
the hook and like the beginning is
Yeah, I think it was just like, mostly the intro, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
it
it's
was
just
like
like an
the
intro
personal. I
to-
don't remember any like personal stories like after.
that was,
Everything
like,
is like just
external.
random anecdotes
Yeah.
and stories that he used.
that's fair.
Okay.
And it's like ones that are specifically meant to explain the concept better.
Yeah. Okay. So my next question is there anyone with any disagreements or criticisms with any of his fundamental principles?
Yeah, I have one. But did you have one as well?
You can go first.
Put that
So
voice
I
band
think,
on in
like,
there.
one of the big things that he mentioned, and I think that it came in the first part of the first chapter, was, or the first part to what we read in the fundamentals, was that he didn't kind of believe in setting a goal, and he said that it led to more of this notion of like survivorship bias, and and it's like for myself, I had to like Google survivorship bias. So when I Googled it, it was survivorship bias or survival bias is a logical error or of concentrating on entities that passed a selection process while overlooking those that did not. So you're essentially like saying like, okay, when you look at a goal, you are saying that you're only looking at the goals that have succeeded and you learn about only those goals that have succeeded in place of the goals that um haven't succeeded. So that's why he kind of like brought up that point, right? But I actually don't believe in that, because like I think that setting goals and goal setting is like very like strategic and good skill to have. Um it's just so valuable, and like it's there's a clear reason why there's so many major billion-dollar companies out there that use this skill, because it is an effective like use of time for them, right? Like think about like OKRs are fundamentally built on goal setting, right? And for those who aren't in like don't really know what OKRs are, it's like a goal setting technique where you have an objective and the key results under that objective to kind of reach a certain goal within the company, right? And to go into another book, it was Measure What Matters by I think John Doerr. He talks about this guy named Andy Grove who used OKRs to essentially fundamentally change Intel to reach massive heights. He came into the company and completely changed it in the 1970s. And I think that like that's just proof of how OKRs have came in and then completely redesigned all these different goals through all these different companies, because it's a proven technique. Like it gives you clarity, it gives you focus, it gives you an alignment, north star. It gives you measurable results, and it gives you that agility where you can change it within terms, right? So I think that's where I disagree. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't think he said like goals are bad, but it's like it should not like you should make your goals. Like goals are important, right? But through the systems
Yeah.
that help you get that goal. Like if you place an importance on the systems instead of the goals,
Mm-hmm.
that'll lead to better success than just saying like, yo, I want to lose like 10 pounds, let's say. So just focus on 10 pounds. Like, how are you gonna do it?
Right.
Yeah,
Like, you need like a structured
Fair.
process.
yeah, I think he like really emphasized on the system part. Like
Yeah.
he did talk about goals in the beginning and how like setting a goal, it's like a direction forward, but like it's more about the process,
Yeah.
about how you're
Mhm.
gonna achieve it. And I feel like a lot of people when they set goals, they don't really think about the process. They just write down their goals.
Yeah.
You know, there's no really like they don't list, oh, this is how I'm gonna achieve that goal. It's
Yeah.
just like, but
I think it's also more the fact that he was emphasizing the system because a lot of people tend to make a goal and then once they achieve that goal, they don't know what to do next.
Yeah.
So once you have that system, it kind of builds a habit of like, oh, I want to keep doing this. It's just not like one goal. It's like built into the system that you're saying. It's a process that you learn.
I really resonated with what he said about people losing motivation after reaching a goal. Like for me, for example, like I used to work out like during the summer, and then I managed to get to like I think like a plate on the bench, which is like a goal for mine.
Mhm.
But right after I hit a plate, I think I did like 5 sets, 3 reps of 135 on the bench.
Bro.
But
Subtle one.
after that, I kind of stopped going to the gym because I felt like, oh, I was like satisfied
Right.
with like my work.
Yeah.
And then now I'm thinking like, oh, I should probably go back again. So yeah.
It's the classic case of it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Yeah.
Right? But like I still think it is important to like set some sort of
Yeah.
like standard of like, hey, where do you want to go? But it's important to also just keep track and learn how you got there and how you like tackle that first situation. So the next time, obviously goals, we change our goals, we always want to achieve more and more. Or like say we just want to go in a different direction. At least now knowing the fundamentals and how to start and how to keep it consistent, I think that's like the key point in what we're reading. But like I semi agree with what Shankin was saying about like goals. Like goals should be important. Like it shouldn't be the main factor, but you should have some sort of direction of where you want to head to, and that direction helps you learn like how to start, how to stay consistent.
I think it should be more of like milestones rather than like set goals, like one specific goal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you
we
think
should-
goals are more important than the system?
That's a good question.
I think there's a quote where he was like, goals set the direction
Yeah, but
and yeah, your system's like how you get there.
get there, yeah.
So I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, I can understand how like a system fundamentally changes the way you'll work towards a goal. But if you like, it depends on like the use case. If you're a company, you already have more so the system in place.
Mhm.
So
But they
I-
still use that systems. Like
yeah,
the
but if the
systems are
system's already
there.
in place, why is the system more important than the goal at that point?
Because the systems is what got you there. And
Yeah,
now
but
it
the
can
system's
keep
already in
it
place.
going.
Yeah, but if the system's already in place, you just gotta.
I
Set-
think
keep
I
on
think it's
setting goals.
about what is your goal, and if you're not meeting it, it's not about changing your goal. It's more about
Change your system.
changing your system with small refineries,
Yeah.
like the small details.
Yeah, I can
And
agree with
like we discussed earlier, it's not like drastic changes in your system just because you didn't achieve your goal. Like it's the small things that add up.
that. Yeah.
So I would still say the system is more important, but it's the goal that helps you make those changes
Yeah.
on your system.
Like you know how to make the system based off the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you keep bringing up companies, right?
Yeah.
But like how many startups are there and like how much actually like get through it? I'm pretty sure if you ask all startups, they have the same goal. But
Oh, yeah.
what's the change? It's the systems that they use. Systems and like the ideas and like
Yeah, but that's why it's like a case by case basis.
I'm
right?
gonna be
It's like-
honest though, like with like using companies as an example is like I don't know if it's
Yeah.
the best idea just because
like you're thinking of Google and like Intel and like Facebook, which is like the
Yeah,
top
but-
three like,
But I also
But
think-
it's not like it's only those companies. It's like every company out there in tech right now.
I know, but
Everyone's based off of OKR.
I think with like when it comes to companies and stuff like that, there's all luck behind it too, right? Like
Yeah,
I
but-
think for
Well,
me,
to a certain extent.
yeah, like I still think like for me, like what we're learning from this book is more for like human behavior, us as like individuals.
Yeah,
Oh,
fair.
Just like
Right.
certain
How does it differ
habits.
from-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like I mean, I guess if you group in a bunch of individuals who have the same.
Same.
like
Mhm.
same I don't want to use work ethic, but like the same views on habits and just like those minor
Mentality.
changes, you can find success, but like remember success isn't like constant. It's always changing. So
Yeah.
maybe that like one goal that we think of, like in the end it will change to something else. But as long as each individual has that like background or just knows about having consistent change and like good habits, I think that's the key. Like that's the foundation.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like that point with the we're talking about people, not
Yeah.
necessarily companies.
I think in the basis of the book, he talks more about like a lot of people tend to like say write down a goal for New Year's out like I want to hit like Matthew was saying like this bench for this, but they're like how do I actually achieve this goal? So then the system is where that's key. Like the system's what builds the habit in a sense.
Bro, he's right. Like how many people like make like New Year's goals, but like how many people actually stay on that goal?
Mm-hmm.
What changes the systems behind that? Which are your habits. The systems are habits.
Yeah, but I think that like. Yeah, no, you're right. I can see how you're right, and I think that like your point of view is correct. I just think that
Because I don't think he's saying only focus on habit. I think he's saying like
like
your goals are important, but place a higher importance
On the
on
system.
the system. Because if you can get your like goals like somewhat like you don't need to know exactly what kind of goal you want, but you want to know like the system that's gonna take you there.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that point of view. I just think that if you have your system, like I was thinking more of the context of companies,
Yeah.
where systems are already like robust and they're like
Oh, okay.
Mm.
created.
I see. Yeah.
Then in those cases, why are you like I understand like fixing up your system, but in that instance, why are you not like looking towards like that direction, that alignment, that north star, right?
Yeah, I think Giddy's like right. Like
Yeah.
instead of like focusing like on like a huge company, like it's better to just focus on like this is more like an individual.
Yeah.
level
Yeah, I can see
I
that.
think even with like big companies, the reason they're able to be successful or they have a higher success rate is because of the system that they
And the
establish.
good
Yeah,
habits that they
yeah.
have that
Yeah,
they
I can
build.
see that.
I also think a nice key point, or like it was sort of towards the beginning of the book, but he talked about just like how he likes to clean his room
Yeah.
because it just gave him a sense of control. I think that's important. Just
Yeah.
like when, like, there's some things that you may do that you don't think are related to what you do for work or what your goals are, but like I think, like I said, it's that foundation, right? Just like let's use the example of cleaning your room, like to give yourself that self control when say you're not hitting your goal as soon as you expected or things aren't going your way related to that goal, you don't spiral, you don't give up because you still have that sense of control. That's why it's important to like start these like
Micro habits.
micro habits
Yeah.
early and let that just be like not I don't want to say your lifestyle, but like basically the foundation, right? And then after when you just like say you decide, okay, this is what I want to do, like even if it doesn't work out or you're not getting there as soon as like early as you thought you would, you still have that system to fall back on. You don't spiral into just giving up and then changing every other habit.
Right.
Yeah. And I think like everything he said in the fundamental section also builds around like the system, like doing the compound like changes. Sorry, uh, like changing your identity, everything like that built into the system itself.
Yeah, and the thing about systems is that okay, you have a goal and then you have a system for it. But the thing about systems, they can be used for other goals as well. And it's not just you're not just creating the system for that one specific goal. Rather, you're creating a system that can apply to various different goals. And I think that's like why key emphasis should be placed on the system rather than the goal because it's more interchangeable.
Right.
Okay. Are there any other disagreements? I think you said you had one.
I had like a not really a disagreement, but more of like a watch out for anyone reading, because he talks about changing or focusing on your like identity to apply your habits to reach your goals. But I just want to point out the difference between like a self identity versus an identity that you want to project onto other people.
Right.
Because it's probably more important to focus on your self identity compared to trying to like exert an identity just for people to see. Because you'll notice with people who like kids who grow up where their parents tell them that they're the funny kid or they're the smart kid, that they'll do whatever they can as they grow up to keep that
Image.
toward other people, and the habits that they develop to do that may not be the healthiest for them. So I just wanted to point that out.
It's like that thing where they said, "Don't tell your kid that they're a smart kid, but they're a hardworking kid." Because if you tell them they're
Yeah.
hardworking, they'll keep working hard.
Yeah,
That doesn't mean
exactly.
they're smart. That means they're just happy about the results,
Yeah.
but not the work you put in.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you keep on trying to show that you're like successful, you'll do things that won't actually help you, but that'll just more for like show, basically.
Right.
If you had to share one key takeaway from the chapter with someone who hasn't read it, what would it be? I guess we'll go one by one.
Oh, sorry, repeat the question.
If you had to share one key takeaway from the
Bro's
chapter,
thinking about that.
No, I was gonna be like, oh, let's hear their answers.
you want me to share somewhere else?
Huh? No, I can start.
If you had to share
One
one
key takeaway that I would tell someone who,
who hasn't read
yeah,
it,
who hasn't read
yeah.
it. I don't remember this part of the question, but I got it. I think like, and I'm not trying to take the easy way out, but like honestly, like his whole like idea of the compound interest thing, right? It's just like micro changes, right? Like, don't go into this book expecting you're gonna find the answer of how to like
Yeah.
get your
Yeah.
business going, how to like I don't know, like finish school or like get that promotion or whatever you're working towards. I think it's more of it's a book that teaches you the fundamentals, where you want to start, like how you want to sort of live your life, change your life, and then these other things come slowly, right?
Yeah.
Because that's one key takeaway. What I would take is goals and success is ever changing, but your foundation and how you like move every day, the motion, as people would say, as long as that's consistent, I think that like that's what's important in the long run.
Yeah.
What happened there?
That was a chair.
That's a good takeaway.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
Thank you, Matthew.
So, yeah, the sound.
You could see that on that mic.
Matthew. I hope
Uh,
Matthew's stomach growled.
I know.
Got on the mic.
Kind of hungry. A key takeaway that I would tell someone who didn't read the book. Again, obviously another easy way out one, but focus on the system compared to the result. But that's mostly just for like kind of focus on what you want to improve and let the results speak for themselves type thing. Like don't chase money, chase success. And the money will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my key takeaway would be like, well, not key takeaway. Actually, it is key takeaway, but it's more like your identity, like basing like your habits based on your identities instead of like goals. Because I think like my favorite part of the book was like what Vison said, like when the guy is like when you're trying to quit smoking, and if someone asks you like, "Yo, do you want to smoke?" Right? Most people say, "Oh, I'm trying to quit," but if you say, "I'm not a smoker," now you take control of it. Like I thought that was probably the
Yeah.
coolest part.
I think not to be cheesy, but like all the things that he said in this section were like, oh wow, how come I never thought of this before? But I think the identity thing is what stuck with me the most because you never think about like oh I should be thinking that I am this person to achieve that goal, and I feel like I was gonna say something, forgot what it was. Oh yeah, to achieve something is always about the mindset, like your motivation to do something. So your mindset's key whenever you're trying to change a habit or destroy a habit.
Yeah.
And I think that's what stuck with me is the identity.
I think for me a key takeaway is that like he kind of started talking about the one small wins, and I think he also mentioned something about 1%,
Yeah.
getting better every day, 1% at a time, and I think like everybody's usually stuck with the end goal itself, and they don't really enjoy the journey, and like if there's small wins, most people's perception is that okay, but I'm not at the end goal yet, but I think like having those small wins and actually being proud of yourself that you're making progress is a good step towards kind of reaching your end goal, and not just it also provides some sort of encouragement as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think small win is a big takeaway.
Yeah, my biggest thing was like the compounding effect, the positive compounding effect. I think that okay, you can have like the knowledge compounding, productivity compounding, relationship compounding. I think all those aspects add up, and yeah, the overall principle that like you work a little bit harder each day, and eventually you can become successful. You can become transformative, and you can be at the place that you want to be at. So that's definitely my biggest takeaway from the book.
Okay. Last question. Okay. What insights from the book could be applied to our book club, and like I guess give some like goals, like how many times we want to do this a month, stuff like that. So some good goals.
I think if we keep reading consistent, you're talking about like how we compare this book to
Yeah, it's quick. Like
Yeah.
like 5 words. Like, what's the goal? How many times a month?
how many times we meet up.
Yeah, like anything. There's a goal. Like
Let's
5
do
words.
it.
Yeah, 5 words.
Chapter, read, weekly, and meet up.
Good, Matthew.
You don't have to
Okay, you
do
don't have to 5 words. Just be a one sentence.
Yeah.
Not reading. We are readers.
Oh yeah, he got it. He got it. That's fun.
Like-
The trick question. You got it right. Good job, Matthew.
I misunderstood the assignment. Then.
You misread it. We are readers.
You're readers.
Okay.
I
You
think
guys want to?
No, I have
Yeah.
no idea.
Go for it.
I think like just being consistent and not just doing this a few times, but rather make it a habit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like what Matthew said, we're readers moving forward. So I think that what we want to do is reap the benefits of the effort that we're putting into this. So I think that's what I think we can apply to our book club, the identity based.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
job.
yeah,
Identity
thank
based
you,
goal.
thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So I think that's about it. Thank you everyone for sticking around, talking to us, listening to us. And yeah, we're looking forward to this. This is something that we're really excited about, and I think that it'll be like a new adventure for all of us, but maybe an adventure for you if you haven't gotten to reading before, but you wanted to get into books like Atomic Habits, books like around science fiction, nonfiction, maybe not fiction, but like nonfiction.
Well, we'll do fiction later.
Yeah, maybe we'll see how it
We'll
goes.
dabble into like
Yeah, we'll dabble into see like talk about different things, but if you wanted a new take on reading books and starting 2024 in a new way, this might be the spot for you. So thank you for listening, and we're looking forward to listen and talk to you soon. Yeah.
Well,
Thanks,
Catch you
everyone.
guys on the flip side. Comment down below.
Wait, this